In the days of apartheid in South Africa, Christians would light a lamp and place it on a window of their house as a reminder to themselves and a sign to those in the neighborhood and the passers-by that someday, that injustice of apartheid would come to an end. And lighting a lamp and placing it in the window became a sign of their conviction that God will somehow turn the tide in their favor. My dear sisters and brothers, today we begin the season of Advent, a time when we immerse ourselves in our faith, a time when we look forward with eager hope, when we await with joyfulness the coming of the Messiah, when we expect Him to bless us with peace. And even as we usher in the season of Advent, this new liturgical year, this yet new church year, we realize that a good number of us are tired. Tired physically, tired emotionally, and I am aware of some that are also tired spiritually. But you are not alone. In fact, I have been through these various forms of tiredness myself. And so we are in this together. A physical exhaustion, an emotional draining, and a spiritual emptiness because of the pandemic. 2020, ever since March, has been for us a time of upheaval, a time of surprise and shock, a time of change. This year has been for us filled with disappointment, disillusionment, and discouragement. And I'd like to say that it is against this backdrop that we begin the season of Advent. More than before, more than any other year, this year we need to celebrate Advent with faith, with hope, with joy, with peace, and it will all lead us to love. And so we celebrate and light a lamp to show that we are faithful, that we are a people who trust the Lord, that we lean on to the Lord who is a God with us. The first candle we light this week stands for our faith, for the trust we have, for the childlike confidence that fills our soul as we look to the heavens from where shall come our help. The next week, we will light a lamp. We will light yet another candle to show that we are a people of hope, that someday we will be enjoying the blessings of God, that someday all that God has promised us will be ours. When the first candle stands for faith, trust, and confidence, the second stands for hope. A hope that God loves us. A hope that God is for us. A hope that flows from the fact that our God is one of us and is right in our midst. The second candle stands for our hope. And then the following week, we light yet another candle, rejoicing, joy-filled, a happy people knowing that the coming of the Lord is near. And that is a day when the church will tell us to rejoice Rejoice despite our sadness. Rejoice despite our sorrow. Rejoice despite our losses. Our faith, our hope will give us joy and happiness because we would be reminded that God is close to us. The third candle represents the joy that God blesses us with his closeness to us. And during the final week, we will light yet another candle, the fourth candle, which represents the peace that God gives us, the peace that Christ alone can give, the peace that he breathes onto us. And so, sisters and brothers, throughout the season of Advent, we will be lighting one candle after another. And our hearts will be filled with faith and hope, with joy and peace. And all of that will lead to love at the Christmas night. It's true that it always takes time for a change to happen. We don't expect that night news to be good news all of a sudden. We know that the stocks will not be always on the rise. And we also know that no politician, the one to the right or the one to the left, is going to bring us peace, but God alone. And finally, we remind ourselves that no amount of sophisticated defense system will keep us safe. But all this will be accomplished when Christ comes into our hearts, into our homes, into our neighborhood, our streets, our nation, and the nations of the world. And so, let's light a candle, week after week, that represents our faith, our hope, our joy, our peace, and the love that God blesses us with. Where I come from, when a child is born, we light a lamp and place it in the center of the house. A sign of hope, a sign of trust, a sign of joy, a sign that there will be peace in the world. And when we light a candle at the birth of Jesus, all these that I mentioned come to completion. And so, sisters and brothers, because God is for us, because God is with us, and because God has made himself one of us, let's light a candle and light it with joy, with hope, with faith, and with love. For we know that when God is for us, who can be against us? And so with God on our side, we will tide through the situation. The pandemic will leave us, and we will get back to those good old days and thank the Lord for his loving mercy to us. And so, let's light the lamp and keep the lamp burning, because God is with us and help is on the way.